morning, everyone. My name is Fetanat. I'm the founder of GemFind. We've been in the business since 1999, providing online solutions for the jewelry industry, exclusively to the jewelry industry. In the past 12, 13 years, I've seen a lot of things happening within the industry. As well as you all know, there has been a digital revolution. Internet, Facebook, YouTube, Google, smartphone, they all have changed the way we all do business. So today the topic is going to be the 10 things to do and not to do about your website to get ready for the holiday season. So with me, I have Tyler Matthews, who's going to be assisting me with this presentation. He's our CTO. There he is walking back.
Morning, everyone. All right, can we go to the first slide? How you doing? I'm Tyler Matthews. I'm the CTO of GemFind. I've been doing web technology for the jewelry industry for about 10 years now, working with, at first, vendors and creating marketing programs that they can deliver to their retailers. From there, we started really helping retailers make websites. And it kind of went a little further and further and got more into it. And 10 years later, we learned a lot. Working with a lot of retailers, you all have very different business models. You all focus on different things. Some are very bridal focused, some estate, some custom. So with your website, there's basically, you've got very little time here to prepare for the holiday season. And there's 10 key things that you can do to really improve your internet effectiveness. We're going to start, though, with a video from one of our customers. And he is basically going to talk a little bit about what really can happen with the web and how powerful it is. Can you play the video?
And then before you do that, actually, the reason we're playing the video is not the plug for GemFind. It's not a testimonial. But it's for you to hear what your colleagues are doing and what's happening in the business and online.
I'm Dave Fixie from Gerald's Diamond Jewelers in Oak Harbor, Washington. Last year, the 2011 JCK show, we had a reference to GemFind as looking to improve our web presence. We came and talked with Dave Lyon at GemFind, and they were extremely helpful, to the point where we worked with them and they have produced our website. A few weeks ago, our website went online after a wonderful process of them helping us, teaching us, educating us on where we needed to be, what we needed to do to be successful. 3 weeks ago, as I said, our web presence went online. We're very happy with the web design and page, but something happened that we didn't expect to see happen. I was working a couple days ago before the show, and we got an email on a diamond that a customer was looking to purchase with a bridal set. And we immediately contacted the customer and said, yes, we have the diamond. But the customer said, I'm looking for a ring, but I found it elsewhere. To which, as you know, a good jewelry store, you're going to ask, what's the ring like? Can we possibly do this as well? So they sent us the link through the GemFind inquiry screen, and we looked at it. We then directed them to a page on the website and showed them a similar ring that we had. They fell in love with it. We put the sale together, and the sale was completed, and the customer picked it up and loved the ring. The part that amazes me, everybody does e-commerce, or they're getting into e-commerce, but the part that surprised me was the rest of the story. This customer lives less than 2 miles from my store. He could have come in and looked. He could have come in and shopped. He could have come in for the personal experience. But what we're learning is, sometimes they just don't have time. And that was the reason he didn't come in. He just didn't have time. But the website that GemFind developed for us was so nice that he was so impressed. He spent time looking at it, working through it, and ended up making us our first sale after only being online for a couple of weeks. We're very impressed and we're very happy.
So about 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, when we started developing website, there were a lot of limitations. Obviously bandwidth, internet speed, websites accessing emails, internet was kind of a luxury. At best, websites were primarily an extension, an online business card. You could only display your history, maybe an image of the store, about us, contact page, that's about it. Because of the digital revolution, because of what has happened in the industry, things have changed. There are a lot of things that customers are looking for when they are going online. And if you don't have a good presence, if your website is not ready, you will lose market share. You will lose client. It can actually work against you if you don't have the right website. The reason for that is it's the representation of your store, your image, your product. So if it's not portraying the same image and the website is just very static, that is the perception that the user is getting from looking at your site. So it's important to have a presentable website that represents you and your image. How many of you guys have a website currently? Excellent. And how many of you, almost 90%, that's great. How many of you guys think your website is doing the job for you as far as conversion and selling? I see just 2 hands, 3 hands maybe. Okay, good. So we're going to start with the presentation, and we're going to explain to you as really the top things that we think you should do about your website to increase your conversion.
So definitely number one is content. Okay. So as we have listed here, YouTube equals videos, Facebook equals people. Okay. Without video, YouTube is nothing. Without people, Facebook is nothing. The number one thing you need on your website is content. That's what people are going there for. That's why people go to YouTube to watch the video content, or Facebook. People are the content there. You need to have jewelry on your website. If a customer goes to your website and sees no product, it's like them going into your store and not seeing anything in your display cases. That's a very dangerous thing to do. They expect to see that product. But just keep in mind, having that product online does not mean you need to sell online. Okay? That's a misconception. You don't need to actually sell online. You can drive that traffic into your store. Because most people with big ticket items like you're selling, they're not going to want to spend that money online. Especially if you're, a few miles away. Now that customer, there are exceptions where these things do happen, but typically people are going to be coming into your store to actually purchase the product. They want to see it in person. So it's very important to have that content on that they can interact with. And the reality here is that a lot of you are showing the page of your brands and saying, here's the brands we carry, here's a link to their website. Most consumers don't know a great majority of your brands. The jewelry industry, I feel, really tends to market to itself in a lot of ways. And most consumers do not know a lot of brands. Some they do. Some do reach to consumers and they do know those brands. But, when you're sending your consumer to a brand that they don't know, okay, to look at product, that is a big conversion killer. Okay, you're sending them away from your site to where they can go now and look at other retail jewelers are getting distracted. You want to keep them focused on your website. You are the brand. You're the brand, not the vendors you supply. You are the brand first and foremost. The other thing that's going on right now is there's a lot of vendor-sponsored solutions like Simon G and Decory. They're doing the mini sites, the site within a site. The problem with those is it's really hard to actually search all products together. Okay, so if I want to look at jewelry on your site and I go click on engagement rings, I can't see all the engagement rings together and be able to sort them by the ways that I want to see them, by maybe looking at all the jewelry by metal type, maybe into 14 karat gold. I have to delve into each separate brand site independently. It's a lot of work to try and find a product. In addition to that, it's actually very bad for your SEO because these solutions they're not coded in a way where it's really compatible with your website. Okay, the crawlers have a hard time with it. It's just not a good solution to do. So it's better to try and take that inventory and send it into your website altogether in a way where it can be searched. Okay, so beware of these vendor solutions. They're nice, they're easy, but they're not the best way to do it. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, just a summary. Point number 1. Show what you sell. Very important. That's what every business does. When you come into the store even, you're showing the things you have for sale. It should be the same thing on your website.
And like Tyler said, what's really important, if I'm a user and I'm going to a website and I'm searching for engagement rings, I don't want to go into these different plugins to find the engagement rings. You want it to be consistent. You want it to be through one search form, and you want to be able to type in engagement rings or go to that category, and you got to be able to easily find that product. The star of your website is your product. That's why people are going there. That's how you're being found through the search engines. That's how you're getting indexed through all these algorithms, through Google and all the other search engines. And also your experience has to be the same, from your point of sale, from your website, from your vendor. Your vendor, you may be buying 20, 30 different styles from your vendors, but they may have 500 different styles. You want to tap into that inventory. You want to get access to it without really purchasing it, without getting any kind of commitment to the vendor, but you also want to have the access in case someone sees that merchandise on your website. You got to be able to get that from the vendor and make a sell. It's a win-win situation for you as well as your vendors.
So point number 2, it looks like there was a little technical difficulty in the conversion from Google Docs to PowerPoint, but I'll tell you what's missing. Basically, number 2 is synchronize. Okay, if you have a point of sale system, you can actually tie that to your website to where not only your inventory can be synced to where whatever's showing up on your site can also show up in your point of sale, but you can also sync customers. Okay? And with customers now and inventory, you can sync wish lists. So if you're using systems like ARMS or the Edge or ASC, all these different point of sale systems in the industry, you can actually sync it in a way where if I go to your website, okay, and I create an account and I put in some products that I'm interested in, okay, I then come into your store, you can be able to pull up my account with the products that I like right in your point of sale system, where all your salespeople can see that. So on the alternative side of that, if I have an account in your point of sale system, and let's say I'm a top 10 customer, and in the top 10%, so I get maybe a discount to you guys, because I'm loyal, I come in all the time. If you have things like e-commerce on your site, you can actually set it to where when I log in, I can see my discount automatically. So you can actually, merge your two worlds, in-store and online, to where they're seamless. Okay? Now, if you're getting data feeds from your vendors now, to where your vendors are pulling in product into your website, you can then go into your point of sale, to where I know a lot of times with your point of sale systems, it's a lot of data entry. You're worried about photos. You're having to take photos with your light boxes, or you're not doing photos because it's too much work. If you can get your vendors to provide you the data, and feed into your website and your point of sale all at once, and just it just simplifies everything, especially for your staff who are doing data entry.
And what's really important, you got to demand that from your vendors. If you're doing business with them, if you're buying merchandise, you got to demand the fact that you need their images of the products, you need the data. I'm not a proponent of them sending you discs because it's going to take you a lot of time to extract the images and adding the data into your website. You got to get the actual file that contains the proper descriptions, the meta tags, the images. Everything has to be within one file. Most of the vendors do have them. We work with about 140, 150 vendors that provide these data to us. So there are more and more of them that are coming on board, and they understand the necessity of this, and they understand that they have to support their retailers.
So So just to summarize, you can connect your website and your point of sale system together. You can do it, it is possible, we have the technology. So number 3, offer accounts. Very important. Not a lot of jeweler websites offer accounts to their customers. It's very important for a lot of reasons. When I create an account on a website, it's just one step more for me to be more loyal to that website because I now have an account with it. I can save things. Without an account, I can't have a wish list. I can't save anything. I can't save my personal preferences. So what you can do with accounts is really start collecting information on your customers. Like, what are their favorite metals? What are their current interests? There's a lot of companies right now that are starting to invest very heavily in systems which take things that users are submitting, like certain products they click on, or interests that they know that they like. And what happens then is it starts serving up that content to where it's exclusive just to them. So you're able to really create a personalized experience on the website for that specific user, where it's not generalized, where currently maybe you go to your site and you see the same old product every time, and everyone sees the same product. It's starting to happen to where you can actually take that content and serve it up individually based on what certain people like. So someone may like charms, and someone may be engagement shopping right now, and they would each see unique experiences based on where they are in their life as a customer. So that's a very important thing to start tracking. This technology is just starting to really come into play, and the sooner you start tracking this type of information, the quicker you'll be able to use it. So, number 3, just to summarize, allow customer accounts. You can see here as an example, update your profile, create custom favorites, start a conversation with our staff, schedule an appointment. I can come back and I'm able to actually see what I was looking at before, and also your sales staff can log in and see accounts and see what customers are looking at. So accounts are very, very important. So number 4, social media. Your consumer now, with the ability to share on social networks, is your greatest marketing force, and it doesn't cost you anything. Utilizing Facebook, and there's a speech, you'll hear speeches this weekend on social media, but I'm just going to delve into it a little bit. If I like one of your products on, say, Facebook, okay, that is going out to over 300 of my friends and family. People trust friends and family more than advertisements, hands down. So the more you can offer tools on your products to share that content, the farther that product will go. And it's all relationship based. So, the average American has an overall network of 634 social ties on average. Now, if you're a tech person, you typically have more, but that's the average. So it's very important to offer these social features, because once somebody shares it, it can be then shared by somebody else, and so on, and so on, and so on. And actually they're saying now that 6 degrees of separation is now down to, I think, about 4.75, just because of Facebook alone. So 6 degrees of separation is no more. It's actually less than that now.
So what that means is the average 634. That means if 20 people like your product, that's almost equivalent to 1,200. If 200 people like your products, that's equivalent to 12,000. So we can see how it actually increases as you have more visibility. And it's really free advertising, free branding for you.
And social media is especially so important for this industry, because when people are looking at rings, they're big purchases, and they want people's opinion. They want to share it with their mom or their sister or their cousins. And they want the ability to share that. If you don't have it, you're doing your consumer a great injustice. So here's a good example of a typical conversation. The conversation is getting very digital. So this is where having that product on your site comes into play. This is where being able to share that product on your site comes into play. So number 5, see it in store. If you're doing e-commerce, you can can definitely, and should utilize action items to push people into your store still. Things like see it in store, things like make an appointment, buttons like try it on. Action items that will drive customers into your store to purchase. Using your website in a number of different ways. So think about this. Let's say you are doing e-commerce, okay? But typically you're going to find that if you're doing e-commerce, you're not going to move a lot of product. And it's usually price point related. So if you can then focus on smaller price points online, things that you don't want to carry in your store because it's eating up space in your display case. You know, they're lower price points, but you can sell them little and often, okay? And, you know, I talk to a lot of retailers and I ask them, you know, what do you do when a customer asks for something that's a lower price point? They'll say, you know, well, I just send them to Walmart, you know, or I send them to Target. Well, you don't have to do that. You can have thousands of products on your website that you can move without even having your hands on it and still have that resource for them. But drive them in store for the bigger ticket items. You know, the items that you want to have in your display case. Because that's where, you know, that's where the money's going to be for you, is having those bigger tickets. It doesn't make sense to fill your display cases with those smaller items. They don't need to be in your store. Market it as online only. You know, exclusively online only on our website. So you don't have to send them to another store. You just send them to your website and don't have to deal with it.
And that really is where the direction is going, is virtual inventory. I was shopping for furniture about a month ago. In California, because the cost of doing business, most of these big, huge furniture stores, they've shrunk their square footage to 1,500, 2,000 square foot. They may have, 4 sofas, a couple of different dining sets. So what they do is they populate their website with all these products from all these different manufacturers that they have access to. And you walk into the store, practically there is nothing, but they have these giant monitors. They take you through their inventory, online inventory, without them spending a dime in purchasing the product. They take the order, they take your money, they deliver the product to their home. So the idea here is really to reduce your inventory, but then expand it online through virtual inventory, with your manufacturers, through your manufacturers.
So drive customers to see it in store. Definitely is a needed action item that you need to have on your website.
This is a great topic. Engagement. You need to have interactions with your visitors through your website. You need to make your website interactive, and the study shows the longer they stay on your website, the better chance of conversion. If you only have static pages on your website and you have only education about 4C, a little history, it's boring. They can go to GIA and get the education. They can go to AGS. It's important to engage them within your website. How do you do that? You actually develop a lot of different marketing tools that incorporates to the website that engages the clients. You may not necessarily sell anything from that particular tool, but just the fact that they're engaged, just the fact that they're spending more time on your website, that automatically increases your chance of conversion. There are ring builders that we developed back in 2001, 2002. We have pendant builder, stud builder, we have diamond search. There's a huge inventory out there, as you guys all know, through GemFind, through RapNet, where you could incorporate to your website with your prices or not displaying any prices, but let the clients interact with your site. Let them get familiar. Let them build a ring on a Sunday night when your store is closed. So interaction, getting them engaged to your site, to your store, is very, very important.
So deploy feature-rich applications. Number 6. All right. Number 7. Show me the number. Customers always need a phone number to fall back on. If they're confused, if they are having issues, emailing you, or if you have a live chat that's not working, you need the phone number, and it needs to be somewhere very prominent. Phone number is definitely one of the biggest things that consumers are looking for on your website. We recommend having it somewhere in your header, definitely on the home page. If it doesn't work on all the other internal pages up in the header, because you have other things you want to promote, at least in the footer, but have the phone number somewhere. Very important.
You're not Google, you're not AOL, you're not these big, huge sites that are going to get millions of phone calls on a daily basis. Obviously, they have to hide their numbers. Yours has to be very prominent. Like Tyler said, it's got to be right on the footer or the header of the website. So if I'm searching for a product and I see the product right there and I have some questions, I don't want to click to your contact page to get your phone number. By the time I click, come back, search, I've lost it. You've lost them. So it's got to be prominent, it's got to be right there in front of their face. They see it, they have a question, they got to be able to send an email through that particular product itself as an inquiry, or if your phone number is there, they can basically pick up the phone and call you. Very, very important.
So here's just an example. You can see up there, toll-free and local number. It's good to have a toll-free number as well.
Even store hours, address, as much information about your contact information as you can fit in the header and the footer.
All right, this is a big one, number 8, picture quality. Very, very important. When a customer isn't in your store, all they have to fall back on to purchase that $3,000, $4,000, $10,000, $20,000 item is a picture with a description and some text. Okay? A picture is literally worth 1,000 sales. Okay? Your vendors have lots of great photography, and if they don't, demand it. Okay? You can no longer afford for them, all right, to give you jewelry to sell without giving you the content that you need to back it up. Okay? It's very important today. That digital content that we talked about in the other slides, with that digital conversation. So here's just an example down here, of a bad photo. It's scrunched, it's blurry, as opposed to a picture with better resolution. Having the pictures be very high quality is very, very important. And there really are great jewelry photographers in this industry that's all they focus on is jewelry. Okay? Not every photographer can do jewelry. It's very specific. It's an art. There's metal tones. There's gemstone tones. You have to know what the metals need to look like. Okay? And it's really difficult to do with a light box, as I'm sure a lot of you know, and make it look good. But there are photographers out there that can do it for $35 a shot. They call them web shots. Okay? They're not meant for print. They're meant for web. But you can move a picture far faster and more affordably than you can an actual product. And your vendors are understanding this. They can move pictures faster and more inexpensively than physical products. So getting that picture is a good investment. Okay? If you spend $35 on a shot that looks really good, okay, you could probably sell that at least a few times. Okay, you've already made your money back. But demand these pictures from your vendors. They have the resources to do this. They're not doing it, they're just lazy. Okay? So demand it from them.
Yes, definitely talking to your vendors and getting the data, the images is really important. We were actually at the JCK show just a couple of months ago. We were exhibiting. Again, we're working with about 140, 150 different vendors. We have retailers that come to us. They ask us, who are the vendors that provide you the data and the images before they even go talk to them to buy their products. Sammy's Fine Jewelers was one of them. And she had a list of a few people that she wanted to do business with. And she came up to us and she said, do you guys have their data? We said, no, we don't have it. They're not part of the network. So she said, let me go talk to them, see if they want to be part of your network, if they want to provide the information. So when she came back about an hour later, she said, I crossed them off because they don't have the data. They don't have the images. And it was a very reputable company, actually. So demand that from your vendors. You're buying from them, you're spending money from them, and they have to provide it to you, basically. If they take one image of their product, they can distribute it to all their clients. And it's less cost for you guys to take the image.
So, with the quality image, there's also quality writing. You've got to really write quality. And a lot of times when people make their websites, they kind of rush through the About Us. They rush through the services. They rush through things like product description, you know, where it's just very short, abbreviative descriptions that you can tell were meant for the industry. You know, there's no romance in the writing. Quality writing is very important. It speaks highly for, you know, the quality of your business. So you need to put a lot of thought into what you write. Can we actually just go to the next slide, just because this is, no, get back one more. Just because this kind of ties in, this is kind of the bigger issue with this, is that search engines are really starting to change how they do their rankings. You know, Google as an example, they're a search company. They're in the business of search, and they want to provide the best results to their users. As of late, the SEO industry has just been up in arms. It's been a mess, and things are changing quickly because Google is very quickly rewriting the rules because they do not want the ranking system they have now, where people can manipulate things and, you know, use keywords and descriptions to kind of get websites up in the rankings that shouldn't be there. Okay, a search company, if they're not providing the best result possible, you know, they're out of business. So what they're moving towards is more away from the metadata, which I'm sure has been drummed into a lot of your heads, is metadata. Now that it's now more about the actual writing on your website. Okay? So when you start a website, you really should be thinking about, you know, maybe 5 to 10 keywords that really define your business. Okay? And I'm not saying keywords in a sense of, let's put them in a keyword meta tag and call it a day. I'm saying keywords in a sense of, let's take those keywords and use them throughout our site. Okay? In a number of different paragraphs in a number of different ways. If you're bridal focused, write about bridal. Write about it on your About Us, write about it on your Contact Us, write about it on your services. Because Google's scanning your site to make sure that the content that you're putting out there is relevant to the user. If it's not relevant, they don't want you up there in the rankings. They're going to push you down. So you really need to go back and take a look at what you all have on your About Us pages. Maybe it was something you guys were like, let's just get this website up, let's just write something, let's get it out there, let's get it done. You haven't looked at it since. Go back and look at it and say, you know, does this define my business? Does this really say, does this have the keywords that I need in there? You know, are you custom store? Talk about custom. You know, this is very important, your keywords. Okay? Not metadata keywords, your content keywords.
And again, if you don't have the time to write the contents, there are content writers out there, very inexpensively. You'd be surprised. There are a lot of them out there that are looking, they're hungry for jobs, basically. So it's really important to make sure that you have the right contents on your website and get help.
So the last one, number 10, is gain mobility. And I'm sure a lot of you have smartphones, tablets, other devices. Your website may look very different on these devices than it does from a computer screen. And it may not look good. There are ways to actually format your website or even create a mobile website, okay, where it's different than your actual website you get on a computer, and it's more driven towards a smaller screen, so maybe product focused. Rather than having all these things you're featuring and all these flashy images, having more of a catalog of your store. Mobile is, as you can see by these stats right here, it's predicted that the mobile users will outnumber desktop computer users by 2014. Okay? I actually have 2 mobile devices. Okay, my wife has another mobile device, so we have 3 mobile devices between us. 91% of all U.S. citizens have their mobile device within reach 24/7. See, we have an iPad right here. 1/2 of web searches are done via a mobile device. Okay? Mobile devices are also important because I can do things like pick up a phone right here in an area that I don't live in and say, jeweler. And it's actually going to pull up all the stores close to me, and I can navigate right to that store. Okay, so mobile device compatibility is very important, and it's going to get more and more important. So.
And just to add to that is there is a misconception between mobile apps and mobile-friendly websites. Mobile apps are the downloadable applications that you actually download to your site, which you really don't need. It's very expensive, so you can develop that. Mobile-friendly sites, also, you don't necessarily have to have a mobile site. It always helps. There's an investment, and I do encourage you to really get that, because that is the trend. Like you said, there are a lot of people that are already searching on it. But make sure your website, your existing website, does not have any splash page. Make sure there is no flash elements within the website where it's not visible through the mobile devices. So that is absolutely, take a look at your sites online and take a look and see if it's legible enough in case someone finds you online.
Yeah, I mean, if you have Flash, I know Flash is a huge thing. All the vendors were doing it for a while, and you know, we even got really deep into Flash. And Steve Jobs basically killed it with the iPad. Said he didn't want anything more to do with it. So. That killed it in a lot of ways, and the whole development community around it was a little bit crushed. And but we moved on, and we're building other things more Java-rich rather than Flash. So there are other ways to make things flashy, you know, where you have that nice flow and that animation using HTML5. There's other things you can do that's not Flash. If you have Flash, you're not going to see it on an iPad. You're not going to see it on an iPhone. Unfortunately, that's just the way things ended up. So, but you know, you can change things where it's not Flash. So, I'm going to go to questions now. Go ahead.
You differentiated earlier between images for print and for website. What's frequently treated as JPEG? What type of file system do you use for web?
So I would say actually for web you could use PNG, number one. Okay, and here's why. PNG allows you to have transparency. So you can actually take that same photo of that piece and have it on a black background, have it on a white background. It's a little higher image size than JPEG, but with that transparency you have a lot of flexibility. You can put it on different backgrounds on your site and really make it so it's not purely stark white. If you're going for file size, stick with JPEG. It compresses a little further. You can go a little deeper down into, you know, a tighter compression to where the image is really small and loads fast. And load time is important. It's becoming less and less. You know, we used to have to really focus on dealing with 56K modems. Not so much the case anymore. I mean, to get this presentation on the laptop, I just connected to my 4G, you know, hotspot, and I'm pulling everything down super fast. So I mean, it's getting very affordable internet speeds. So
if you're shooting this yourself, you save the file, full file sections, and use it real quick, right?
yeah, it all comes down to DPI. Okay, that's your dots per inch. Okay, for print, you want to stay around 300. For web, you want to stay around 72. If you don't care and want to go a little higher than that, you could probably go up to 100 DPI just because monitors are getting better. I really suggest you all look at your websites from a Retina display that Apple has come out with. You might be surprised at what you see. When you look at things through a Retina display, you see things in a whole different way that you never saw things before. And things like logos may look bad. I mean, you can really tell. So it really comes down to the DPI. Does that answer your question? Yes?
When I was JPEG and themes, what is the size that you recommend? You said 72 to 100.
It's 500 by 500 normal size.
What's that?
500 by 500. That's a pretty standard size.
Is that for the thumbnail or the blow up when they zoom in on the picture?
You can actually take the 500 by 500 and put it in the system to where you don't have to make the 50 by 50 thumbnail. the site should do it automatically. But 500 by 500 is a good size to where if you want to blow it up, it's going to fill the screen pretty good. You can go bigger than that, but you really don't need to. 500 by 500 is a great size.
So your website really should resize this. So like what Tyler is saying is it can be big, but your website should shrink it down to a thumbnail. So that they click on it to see it under magnifying glass, then it basically enlarges. Correct. One question for you guys. How many of you guys have a point of sale system in your store? Okay, so quite a few of them, quite a few actually don't have a point of sale system.
Who doesn't have a point of sale?
Get that before you get a website. You definitely, I don't know how you can operate without a point of sale. Actually, I met someone at the AGS Conclave about 3 years ago or so. Small, 1.5 million in a small city in Alabama. They did not have an inventory system, and I was really, really shocked. It was a gentleman with his son, and I asked him, how can you operate? And the son says, you know what, my dad doesn't want to computerize because this way he feels he has more control. Oh yes, but you're also losing money because you're not efficient. So I talked him into getting into at least trusting the son to invest, $4,000 or $5,000 on a point of sale system. And I just saw them on the last conclave. I said, did you guys ever transit? Did you ever change it? And the gentleman talked to me and he says, that was one of the best things and one of the best advices that you gave me. And 3 years ago, the son says, my dad doesn't trust me enough to computerize. And I asked that boy, he goes, well, he's got to earn his trust. I go, this is a way for you, you can find out if he's paying his dues, if he can earn that trust. He was a little bit resistant. But anyways, I started this last time. They have increased their sales 45% since then. They're much more efficient and they know where their products are. If somebody's looking for something, they know exactly where to get it. We do not sell inventory systems. It's not a plug for us. There are companies out there, there's Edge, ARMS, AC, definitely look into them because that is one thing that's a game changer for you. A better control of your business. And then once you have that, then as part of the presentation, we talked about integrating the systems together. So what's transparent is what's in your store and what's also on your website, integrating the wish list, the customer list, which makes it seamless, basically, and it's really taking you to the next level. Anyone who's doing social media here? Excellent, almost 50–60%. Is it working for you? Is it converting? It is converting, so you're seeing results. Okay. And are you doing also search engine optimization as well, or just the social? Just the social, no search engine optimization. But you're getting results, excellent. So there is a seminar tomorrow at 10:15, and I really do encourage you guys, if you have time, to attend that. It is at the show floor, it's by Surya Matthews. It's going to be presenting different things that are happening within the online arena as well as the social and the Facebook and everything else. Please, you have a question?
What are you finding as results? Sales conversion or growing presence in social likes or followers? How are you defining results? You define a result. It really depends on you what you're looking for. If it's an e-commerce website, obviously the sale is a conversion. If it's a non-e-commerce website, driving that traffic to the store, the visibility, the getting the word out, that is a conversion for you, or getting phone calls. So everyone really determines what they're looking for and how they define their conversion.
The other thing too is if you do events, Ria will, I'm sure, talk about this, she's really good at this, but if you do in-store events, I mean, social media is definitely key for you in a big way. So I won't get into it, I'll let her talk about it, but do attend that talk. If you do events, you need social media. Any other questions? Go ahead. Oh, it's very important. Again, I'll let Saria get into it. She's better.
It's really, you know, you could have the most beautiful website. You could have all the products in the world. If there is no traffic, if there is no visibility, obviously there is no conversion. Search engine optimization as well as social, they kind of work hand in hand. So what the difference is, the SEO, the search engine optimization, will help you with your ranking through the search engines, and social basically drives the traffic from the social media. So this is Saria Matthews. She's the Director of Online Marketing. She's the one who's going to be speaking tomorrow. So if you have some quick questions, maybe she'll be able to answer.
Hi, I'm Saria Matthews. I'm the Online Marketing Director at Gemfine. I actually work with Facebook, Google, Pinterest, and Foursquare. We actually have people that we talk to physically at those companies, and I can answer any questions that you have about social media. So your question was about search engine optimization versus social media? Penguin is that just recently got released, and Google now is taking Google Places listing and merging that with your Google Plus as well as your Google AdWords campaign. So they're kind of going through a really big makeover right now. So what's happening is a couple of years ago they integrated real-time engagement, meaning that when someone likes your photography, shares it, pins it, and does all those things, that's going to move you up in the search engine rankings in real time. So it's not just based on your content and things that you need to have on your website. It's actually based on how much engagement you're getting from your consumers. That's going to help you dominate the search engine rankings. Does that answer your question? Does anyone else have any questions about social?
So do you normally hire somebody for that search engine optimization? It's so broad.
It's definitely something that unless you have the technical expertise to really do the search engine optimization, you definitely need to work with a company that can do that. There are a lot of companies out there that actually do search engine optimization, but you also have to be very careful. You got to be able to work with a company that works within the industry. That's really important. There are a few of them. We do that too. We're not taking on retailers anymore because we're really busy with a lot of things that we're doing right now with the clients that we have, but there are a few companies within the industry that do SEO that can help you. But it's definitely something that you want to get some experts involved in getting.
And just really quick, when you're talking to these SEO companies, make sure that they're doing white hat SEO and not the dirty black hat with the backlinking and going to random blogs and putting your links in there. It's not good. You want to stick with the white hat stuff. And really what we talked about on that slide, a lot of it is just having great content on your website.
Blogs are really important as part of the, I'm surprised it wasn't part of this, but that was part of the engagement. Definitely make sure you have blogs on your site and make sure someone within the store kind of maintains it. WordPress, they have plugins, so depending on the website type that you have, you can get a WordPress, it's free, you could install it on your website, have a link on the blog, and use it. It's going to help you with your search engine optimization as well.
Definitely. Just to add to that, with the release of Penguin, if you're doing things that are against the SEO practices that Google is now adhering to, you're going to get dropped in the rankings. What they're trying to do is really help customers take the rankings and move them up according to engagement. They really don't, want to base it off of, if you're paying more, on your Google AdWords campaign and things like that. It's all about what your customers are interested in and how much they're engaged in your website. Are they reviewing? Are they sharing your content? All of those things, good quality content, good shareable photography is absolutely essential to getting that website ranking up to the top. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yes.
Will your company take our
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are not taking on any more SEO clients because we are working with certain clients right now that they have to service them basically. So we kind of, until we hire more people, then later on maybe down the line. But right now we're kind of focusing on the clients that we have and we want to make sure that they're getting the proper service. We are taking on clients for SMO, for basically or SEM, search engine marketing, basically social and all that, so we can help you with that. But as far as the SEO itself, right now we're not taking on any more clients. But we can. One of the most important thing is, when you're designing a website, it's got to be search engine friendly. That is the first and foremost. It has to be W3C compliant. If you're W3C compliant, if you have the proper H1 tags, meta tags, description, and the keywords, eventually you're going to get indexed. What's going to happen if you do the SEO initially from the get-go, and you hire someone who does this for you, it's just going to expedite it. Instead of getting there a year, year and a half, you're probably going to be much more visible within 3 months, 90 days, 120 days. But you got to make sure your website, in fact, if you go to w3c.org, and there is a link down there where you actually type in your URL of your website, and it tests and tell you if you are W3C compliant. If there are errors, it tells you what those errors are. So w3c.org. So I think that's all the time we have for today. Oh, last question.
There really isn't much metadata in the photos coming from your vendors. If you're talking about titles, descriptions, pricing, metal qualities, all of that, they should have all that in an Excel spreadsheet that they can give to you. We also are able to API it into your site. So there is ways to get that information, that they do have it. And trust me, we've spent years with these vendors trying to get them to get it. We're actually sourcing jewelers on the phone now to talk to these vendors to a point where if a vendor's not giving us this data to give to retailers, you can call them up with 10 retailers that carry their line and say, hey, we have all these people on the phone, we want your inventory so we can get it on their websites. In the metadata for an image, really the most metadata you can do that's really good is a title for your image. All the data is separate from the image. Okay, so when you get data from your vendor, you have an image folder, and then you have an Excel sheet. They're two separate things, and the data basically is associated with an image. So just try and get that Excel sheet. It is very important to get that data. You need that data, and make sure that it's consumer data. Okay, make sure it wasn't written for you. Okay, because there may be abbreviations in there that the consumer does not understand.
To add to that point really quickly, the reason why you want to have that is when somebody is searching in Google or any one of the major search engines, when the images come up, your store will actually be tagged on that image, which can drive traffic to your website. So that's why it's so important. If it just says IMG032, that's really not going to help drive traffic. So when you're labeling those images and they're searching for images, they could actually pop up on the image, close the image, and then actually go to your website, and that's going to help drive a lot of traffic to your website.
So I think we got to go here, but if you have any questions, we have a booth. Saria's actually running the Smart Station for social media, and our booth is right next to that. So,
number 500.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.